Okay. So my topic for today is be a master in imaging modalities for early detection and progression in pediatric keratoconus.
Come in.
Yeah.
नहीं अभी चल रहा बोलो ना.
So I have no financial interest. So before getting into my presentation, I would like to just say that we are going to answer these questions. Why is it so important to diagnose a pediatric keratoconus? Why early detection is important? Why should we follow up regularly pediatric keratoconus? What factors should we consider to call it a progression? And how do we read maps on the topography? So basically, we all know that the prevalence of KC in pediatric population is 0.16%. That is a pretty high prevalence for any disease. And the visual impairment caused by keratoconus can affect social and educational development of a child, leading to a bad quality of life for them. Unfortunately, this side of the continent has much more prevalence and incidence of keratoconus compared to our Caucasian brothers. At younger age, the KC progresses very rapidly, and also it is the stage at which it gets diagnosed is pretty advanced. Now, why the children have more aggressive keratoconus is because they have a higher rate of corneal collagen remodeling. As we know that biomechanical rigidity of the cornea is inversely related to the age. As we grow older, there is a natural cross-linking which happens. Also, VKC and allergies are much more common in childhood than in adult agehood. So, the childhood keratoconus may not halt on its own. Now, by Leone et al., they have done one study and they found almost 28% of the pediatric age group had stage 4 KC at diagnosis, vis-a-vis to just 8% in adult age group. Also, 88% of the pediatric keratoconic patients progress. That means almost 9 out of 10 pediatric keratoconus coming to your OPD are going to progress. So that is a pretty high rate of progression. Now, unfortunately, there's no global consensus on what we call it as an ectasia progression, but the panel defined progression by consistent change in at least two of the following parameters. Number one, steepening of the anterior corneal surface, steepening of the posterior corneal surface, thinning of the cornea, or changes in the pachymetric rate of the change. And these can be seen over the serial topographic maps. Now, by various papers, progression is defined as a deterioration of the best corrected visual acuity, that is loss of one or more lines of Snell's chart, Kmax of more than one diopter at 1 year follow-up, and pachymetry of more than 10% at thinnest point. Decrease in pachymetry. Now, when we call it treatment failure of CXL, because most of the children are going to undergo CXL as it's a progressive disease for them, the Kmax of more than one diopter, but many authors do feel that it should be 1.5 diopter over the preoperative value. So after knowing that why we need to do it, we need to know now how to read these maps. So then only we can keep a tab on the progression as well as the early detection. So these are the main topographers we use in our practice. I'm going to talk about Pentacam and Cirrus because these are the two topographers I have used mainly in my practice. So this is a Pentacam 4 map. As we can see, we first have to see the qualitative check. Then Bellin intuitive color bar is used for curvature and elevation map. Absolute normal scale for pachymetry because this is useful for keeping a tab on progression instead of normalized scale. There is 75 micron scale on the elevation map. Now, why we use all these things is because if we use 150 micron scale, it may mask the posterior island. So when we start reading a topography, we need to know a basic thing about a topography, what we are going to read and what scales are we going to use. Also, the optical zone, what we use is a 9 millimeter, which is generally mentioned over here. But if we use bigger than that, it does not give us any additional information, and it in fact makes the map very confusing with all the extrapolated data. Now, this is a typical 4 map of Pentacam which we read. It shows the anterior sagittal curvature map. The Cirrus gives us a tangential curvature map in the 4 map. Anterior and posterior elevation map and the pachymetry map. Now on the left hand side, if you see, it will give you curvatures of the steep and flat meridian, Kmax, and a lot of information about pupil also, and the thinnest pachymetry and Q value. Now curvature map, we have axial and tangential. Axial gives you a global view, so it differentiates a diseased cornea from a normal one, and a tangential is more accurate, more represents more actual curvature. So it gives you it is used for the pattern recognition. We all know that there are a lot of topographic patterns which are there. Some are normal, like round oval. Some are abnormal, like superior steepening, inferior steepening, irregular, symmetric and asymmetric bow ties, a skewed axis, or bow ties with non-skewing of the axis. Now, pachymetry map is again important to see whether your central and the apex and the thinnest point is with each other, or they're displaced away from each other, because in normal person they should coincide or they should be very close to each other. In ectasia, it will be displaced, thinnest point will be displaced. Now, CTSP and PT are the things which gives us, basically it gives us the information about the change in the pachymetry value from the thinnest point towards the periphery. Elevation maps are basically what Pentacam uses is the best fit sphere. It is calculated over 8 millimeter optical zone. Now, why 8 millimeter? If we take a smaller optical zone, it gives us a steep BFS, so it can mask the subtle cones. And why not larger optical zone? Because it unnecessarily counts a lot of this thing, and it will give you a lot of flatter BFS, and it can accentuate unnecessarily central normal cornea as a steep cornea. So in elevation map, Pentacam uses and gives the cutoff values for best fit sphere measured over the 8 millimeter, and these are the cutoff values for suspect as well as keratoconus. Now, Pentacam has something known as enhanced best fit sphere. So what normal best fit sphere does is it measures all the points, all the portion of the cornea, including cone over the 8 millimeter. So the resultant BFS in keratoconus is slightly steeper, so it can unmask early cone. What enhanced BFS does is it actually excludes the point 4 millimeter from the thinnest point, a circle around 4 millimeter circle around the thinnest point, and they exclude those points, and then they measure the best fit sphere from the remaining points. So the resultant best fit sphere is little flatter, and it can accentuate the early cone also. It will not do the same or not make any difference in the normal patient, because for normal the best fit sphere and enhanced best fit sphere will be the same, unlike keratoconus. So this is the concept of BAD-D display. This is what they use in BAD-D display. The first two are the anterior and posterior elevation map with the best fit sphere. The middle is with the enhanced best fit sphere, and this is the difference. And these are the cutoff values which are given for this. So it basically BAD-D display basically helps us to diagnose early keratoconus. The red flags on Pentacam are the inferior irregular steepening, anterior elevation more than 12 micron, posterior elevation more than 18 micron, and in the end, all these points, the thinnest point as well as all these points should coincide with each other. Then only we can diagnose it as keratoconus. So many a times you may have very early signs, but you see that all these signs are matching together. They are at the same point, and we can call it as keratoconus. So now this is what we have seen the BAD-D display. On the right side of this map, there are all the other indices of pachymetry session, like your CTSP PTI, which gives you overall the profile of the thickness, what is happening to the thickness from the thinnest point to the periphery. In the end, it gives you the different indices like anterior elevation change, posterior elevation on the change, pachymetry progression, absolute thinnest point, and the displacement of the thinnest point. These are the indices which are given in the Pentacam. Other indices are also there, but we mainly look into the 4 maps, the BAD-D display and the pachymetry maps which are given. Now for progression, what do we do? For progression, we can actually compare 2 examinations or 3 examinations. You have to match the pupillary center for the proper comparison. Now you can get to know the K max, the difference between the steepest K, the difference between the thinnest point, and it also gives you the areas of steepening without corresponding areas of the flattening. So it basically gives you the difference between these 2 maps. Now in Ceras, what happens is it gives you a keratoconus summary after the 4 map. The next map which you need to study is the keratoconus summary. On the left hand side in Ceras, they will consider the indices like your SIF, SIB, BCB and the thinnest point. On the right hand side, it will give you anterior elevation, posterior elevation, CTSP, PTA, and the last image is the points which are of these things. So all these points, if they are gathered together, it is indicative of keratoconus. If they are straddled away, it does not. It means it's not basically an ectasia case. So there are differential maps, comparative
I'm really
maps.
sorry to interrupt,
I'll
ma'am,
just
but
take 1 minute. Yes.
yeah.
Comparative map and keratoconus follow-up map on serous. So this is an example of a case where the curvature maps look pretty normal, but the thickness, there is a little displacement of the thinnest point and a small posterior island, even in the same case. So this could be a case of early keratoconus, and we need to serially follow up this case, whether it is increasing. If it is a child, we need to see whether he has any associated conditions, and we need to diagnose and maybe go ahead with the CXL. This is a case where you can actually see the inferior steepening on the curvature, but the elevation maps seem to be normal, but the machine gives it as suspect keratoconus. If you see these notable points, they are straddled away, so it may not be a case of keratoconus, and it just shows as keratoconus because of a thin Pachy, which was something like 460 or something. But if this was a child, I would still follow this up case and see whether it is progressing or not. So to summarize, basically 4 maps, indices, and clinical examination have to be correlated. Areas of steepest curvature, highest elevation, and thinnest pachymetry should coincide for diagnosis of keratoconus. BADD gives you better clue for early detection of ectasia. We should do topography in children with history of rubbing eyes, high cylindrical power, family history of ectasia, or associated systemic condition to rule out early keratoconus. And regular follow-up with serial topography should be done once there is suspicion of KC, as ectasia progresses much faster in children. Thank you so much.